Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to the 10th Winter 2022-2023 update from GavsWeatherVids. So here we go again. It's time to bring you another winter update. We are now at the business end of the winter updates. Wow. We are at number 10 out of 13. And, yeah, we're getting serious, or I'm trying to get as serious as I can, with the winter update. So, it's going to be epic. We have got loads and loads of tabs. We're doing it old school, this one, but I'm going to try to get through it in the usual 40 to 50 minute time frame. We'll see how we get on. I have got a lot of tabs open. So, yeah, we'll see how we get on. Thank you so much everyone for tuning in. Thank you so much to Richard for the amazing winter update gift. Thank you so much, Rich, and also to Roger the Robin. Thank you so much to our little birdie there, and also to Richard as well for the gift. Thank you so much, Richard. And thanks so much to Shryan, who has done a lot of work on this video too. So when we get to the sections where Richard and Shryan have helped with, of course I will give them a shout out. Thank you so much to Richard, Shryan, and Team Gav. Wow. Okay. I reckon, without further ado, I've got so much to get through, we'd better just go straight over to the first thing you're going to see, which is the swingometer. In a moment, you're going to find out exactly how the swingometer is looking after 9 updates, up to the end of last week's epic 9th winter update, a solar special. Just say we will be live streaming about this 10th winter update tomorrow at 8 p.m. So we shall be doing our live 8 p.m. tomorrow where we will discuss this winter update. Right, okay, well that said, I think I'll turn on the webcam. We're going to have a little look. So now I'm going to show the swingometer as of the end of last week's 9th update. This is how our updates are looking in terms of whether we're favouring a milder or a colder than average winter. Let's count it down. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. And these are the scores on the doors. Miss Ford. Wow. We have had a significant swing from cold to mild. So we are now favouring a milder than average winter by 57%. 57% favouring a milder than average winter as of the end of last week's 9th winter update, the solar special. That is quite a significant swing. The week before we was at 52% mild to cold. Now we are at 57% cold to mild, I should say. So we are favouring a milder than average winter by 57% as of the end of the 9th winter update, solar special. That's how the scores on the doors are looking, and doesn't look very happy, does he? Thank you so to Richard for the updated swingometer. Thank you so to our King of Swing, Richard Traw, for that. You will find out at the beginning of next week's 11th update how the swingometer is looking after this 10th update. So you will see the swingometer as the first thing that you see at the beginning of next week's 11th update. But up to the end of the 9th update, we are favouring a milder than average winter by 57% with our winter updates. Right, wow, what a way to start. Okay, so first thing we can do is bring you some analogues. We're looking at October data in this one, both England, Wales rainfall and also CT coming up later on. So for the England and Wales precipitation for October 2022, we came out at 114.1 millimetres, which was 111% of the average. So it was a little bit wetter than average for October 2022. And it means that for our analogues, we're going to be looking at winters following Octobers with a England Wales precipitation range of 100 to 128 millimetres. That places, of course, October 2022 nicely slap bang in the middle of that range. Schreier sorted out these years for us. Thank you so much to Schreier for doing that. Right, okay, so the first winter is going to be 1952, 1953. And this one has high pressure out to our west with low pressure, change colour to our south and east. And so it's not a particularly cold winter, but it does have cold snaps. 352. 53. Our next winter is 54-55. So October 1954 was within that England Wales precipitation range of 100 to 128 millimetres. Winter 54-55 is a genuinely cold winter. I've been shown up quite a bit, I think, as well. This one with our winter updates this year. So this one has a blocking signal around Greenland and a trough of low pressure over northern and western Europe, bringing the wind from the east and from the northeast. Relatively mild in December of 1954, but January and February of 1955 are genuinely cold months. Next up, we have 1961, the winter of 61-62. Looks like that Mid-Atlantic ridge heading up towards Greenland. Well. The trough of lows to the east. Relatively mild-ish in January of that winter, but does have cold early and late. So there's a cold spell around Christmas of 61, I believe. And then it gets particularly cold, actually, later on in the winter, so late February into March. It is a little bit of a forgotten winter, because, of course, the following winter after that completely overshadows it. That's the daddy of cold winters. And some might think that 61-62 is a little bit of a teaser, setting up that daddy of cold winters, but I, of course, couldn't possibly comment on that or else I'll get into trouble. The next winter, long gap, 82-83. This one is a relatively mild winter with high pressure out to the west and winds coming in from off the Atlantic. So December and January, 82-83, generally mild, but they do get cold in February from the east in 1983, setting up a very cold spring. Then we've got 1989-1990, which follows October England Wales precipitation range of 100 to 128 millimetres. Relatively mild, wet, windy for that one. Quite a stormy and very mild winter. We've got 1990-1991. This is quite a cold winter. High pressure over Scandinavia. Winds are in from the east. This has a very, very severely cold spell in February of 1991. That is a cold winter. We've got 94-95, which is a very mild, wet and windy type winter with low pressure to the north and high pressure to the south. A few cold snaps coming and going, but generally that's a very mild 1990s winter. 2005-2006 looks like it should be epic on the analog, doesn't it? Look at that. Looks like it should be a really epic winter with loads of beachy winds and whatnot. Actually, it's a failed cold winter. There's barely any cold weather in it until later on anyway, when it does get cold later February and into March. But for the analog, very, very disappointing. You'd look at that and think it's an epic winter, but it was not. We've got 2006-2007, which is a very, very mild winter and reasonably dry as well. Low pressure to the north, high pressure to the south. Then we have 2008, 08-09. It's the first of the run of colder winters from 08-09 to 12-13. So that's interesting. That's showing up in the mix with low pressure south and a Scandinavian high. That analog doesn't look anywhere near as epic, though, does it? As the one before. So that analog doesn't look anywhere near as epic as that one, as 2005-2006. That looks like a really epic analog, doesn't it? But it's a failure. Whereas this one doesn't look anywhere near as good as that, but it is a much colder winter overall, especially so in February. Then we've got 2012-2013. This is another cold winter with below average heights to our south and east, above average heights blocking the north. This gets progressively colder as the winter goes on, culminating in a severely cold March. Actually got 1962 in this package as well. So two severely cold Marches showing up here, which is quite interesting following this October England Wales precipitation range. So that's our last genuinely properly cold winter, 2012-2013. And then finally, we have 2014, 2015, probably England weather precipitation range of 100 to 128 millimeters. And this one with lots of low pressure to the north, high pressure in the Atlantic. So the average type winds, there's a few cold snaps coming down, but not much doing from a cold perspective. Right, putting it all back together, this is how all Decembers combined are looking following October. England and Wales, precipitation range of 100 to 128 millimeters. Generally quite a mildish and wettish signal for these Octobers, with quite a bit of low pressure through Western Europe. That's how all Januaries combined are looking. Again, generally quite unsettled. Low pressure to the northwest, high pressure to the south. Southwest winds in from a westerly direction, so mild wet for January. February gets much more interesting, with high pressure blocking around Greenland and Iceland, low pressure getting pushed southwards and winds coming in from the east. So this implies a little bit of a backloaded type winter, perhaps, with the coldest weather coming up later on in the winter towards the end. And then finally, this is how all winters combined are looking following October. England, Wales, precipitation range of 100 to 128 millimeters. And overall, it is a relatively mild and unsettled signal for those winters, with low pressure through Western Europe. Bear in mind, we do have a cold signal, though, for the individual month of February, and I would suspect that will probably carry on if I show you all Marches combined as well. Right, thank you so much to Shrine for getting those years together, and we'll have a little pause there. We will be seeing a little bit more data, by the way, later on in the video. We'll look at the CT for October. Had a very, very warm October CT, so we'll have a look at that a little bit later on in the update. I'm going to pause the video there. You're going to stretch your legs. We'll be back in 1 second's time, and we will resume the 10th winter update then. So I shall see you in a moment. See you soon. Okay, we're back and we're ready to resume the 10th Winter 2022-2023 update from GavsWeatherVids. Wow. If you enjoyed the video so far, then please do like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. Before we have that little break, we were looking at our first batch of analogues. We're going to have some more analogues coming up later on in the video. This 10th update with the analogues is focusing on October data. So we've had a look at England, Wales, P. We'll have the CT data coming up for you later on in the video. But right now we're going to resume with solar activity. So here we go then. Thank you so much to Richard for the gift, of course. Thank you, Richard and Roger for Robin. I love it. Okay, let's have a look then. This is our solar disk is looking on our side of the disk today from solarham.net. We have got several sunspot regions, but despite that, Solarham is reporting that solar activity is at low levels and is expected to remain at low levels for the next 3 days. This is the GavsWeatherVids Winter Update Solar Activity Tracker, updated by Shrine. Thank you so much, Shrine, for updating this for us. The orange line and orange spots depicting each individual day's worth of sunspot activity. So you can see we had quite a big spike in activity in October there, earlier on in October. But the second half of the month did see quite a significant drop in sunspot numbers. That's ticking back up again now, though. So the current spot is just there for this latest day. And you can see that solar activity in terms of the sunspot numbers is actually lifting up. Despite that, though, the 30-day average, which is the thick green line, is still trending downwards. Although you'll notice that the 7-day average, which is the red line, that is trending upwards. I suspect we will see this 30-day average with green line. I suspect we will see that beginning to start moving back upwards again when we look at this next week, probably. Well, depending, of course, what activity we have in the next week, but I suspect we will see the 30-day average beginning to start ticking back up again once more. This is also from Shrine, showing so it's like 24-25 comparison. We have got October's number in now, so that is the blue spot just there. And you can see that actually it's very much on a par with September. So activity seems to be hovering quite steadily, really. The biggest spike so far in terms of the monthly sunspot number was back in May. That one just barely. We haven't quite reached that level either with September or October, but we're hovering quite steadily around that sort of ballpark, really. And we are comparable with like where we was in at this point in the last solar cycle in 2011. So solar cycle 24 at this point was like around here somewhere. Although towards the very end of the year, there was a big spike up in 2011, right at the very end of the year. So it'll be interesting to see where we have our first really big ramp up for this solar cycle before year's end. We've only got a couple of months to go, of course, so there's not much time of that at the moment, but we shall wait and see. Right, thank you so much to Shryan for the charts there. Thank you so much, Shryan, for that. Now, who am I today? Let's have a look. 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 Oh, I'm having a little sneaky peeky. Richard's turning into the sneaky peeky guy. Oh, I don't know. That's Bill Nye, the science guy, who was having a sneaky peeky on our Christmas sneaky peekies. Well, now it's me having a sneaky one. Thank you so much, Richard, for giving me a sneaky peek. I'm so sorry. Get yourself under control, Cal. Thank you so much, Richard. Right, okay. So, this is showing the current spotless days. This is showing, oh my god, this is showing spotless days. The current spotless stretch as well. Now, the current spotless stretch. I'm so sorry. The current spotless stretch. I'm going to have a stop video, I think. The current spotless stretch is 0 days. Right. So for 2022 so far, we've had 1 day without sunspot. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm under control now. I'm back under control. Right. Be professional, be professional. Do the day job, Right, so for 2022 so far, we have had 1 day without sunspots, okay? So otherwise every day so far this year has had sunspots. And so in 2021 we had 64 days without sunspots, which was 18% of the year. And then in 2020 we had 208 days without sunspots, which was 57% of the year. And our solar minimum year, of course, was 2019, which had 281 days without sunspots, and that was 77% of the year. And so we're comparable with 2011, really, which had 2 days without sunspots. Again, that was less than 1% of the year. Of course, the solar minimum year for that solar cycle was 2008, down just there. So next year, our comparable year will be 2012, and 2012 had no days without sunspots. And so, yeah, that's how we're looking with the solar data. Thank you so much, Richard, for that gift that has set me off. Thank you so much, Rich. Thank you so much, Rich. Thank you so much, Ryan, for the solar data. Right, QBO next. Oh my god. QBO next. I'm going to control myself. QBO next. Right, this is how the chart looks from NASA. So this is the top of the atmosphere in the stratosphere at 10 HPA. And of course, this is the tropospheric level 30 to 50 HPA. And this just here is where the westerly QBO is descending from the stratosphere down into a troposphere. We are well and truly in a westerly QBO phase now, and we have in fact got the number in for October's QBO. So if we come down to here, this is from NOAA, we can see that October QBO number came out plus 10.93, so that is very positive number. Westerly QBO, westerly QBO territory. It shows up, since the year we have had a reversal, as we started off with the with a strongly negative easterly QBO, minus 23.01. And that got even more negative for the earlier part of the year, and then we have the reversal from the easterly QBO into westerly QBO, and so we're at 10.93 for October's quasi-Siberian oscillation number. It's very comparable to 2020, this, actually, so that's 2020 just there. You can see that October 2020 came out at plus 10.80. Quite a slow sort of movement into westerly QBO. As we said, not doing so in a dramatic fashion. Sometimes the QBO west and east phases will move quickly. Sometimes they will move more slowly. This is a rather slower scenario. So what Richard pointed out, the similarity between 2020 east-west QBO switch and like the current switch from the east to west QBO, and they are indeed quite similar there. Right, stratospheric data next. So this is how temperature is looking at 10 HPA over North Pole from the JMA versus average. So the grey line is trend line, the black line is the current temperature at 10 HPA. You can see I'm going a little bit cold average now. First time this season, the temperature at 10 HPA has gone a little bit below the grey line, a little bit below average. In terms of temperature at 30 HPA, that is very close to the grey line. Very close to average, maybe going ever so slightly under it. So for the third time this season, we are seeing cooling of the stratosphere. This is from the latest GFS model at metrosteel.fr. These blue temperatures are both cold temperatures at 10 HPA, which is looking at around mid-minus 70s. So we've already established that's a little bit ever so slightly below average for the time of the year. Right, we run through the next week. Very little change, but temperature holding steady in the mid sort of minus 70s there, up to the middle of November, moving out into the extended range. Signs of things getting colder into the second half of November. Look at this, we start to get some purple colours being shown. That takes temperature down to minus 80 or lower there. Temperature going down to like minus 80, minus 84. If we go back here, go there, if we get the temperature down to minus 80, that will send the black line down to around here, that sort of level, which will be appreciably colder than the grey line. So that would imply that we might start seeing the polar vortex begin to really power up as we go into middle of November. It's only a forecast, remember. It's only a forecast from the GFS model, but it does imply that we could get some very cold temperatures around the middle part of the month over the Arctic and over the North Pole. This is the latest the forecast for, from the ECM WF model for zonal winds at 10 HPA. A little bit stronger than average with zonal winds. This is average, this red line just here. A little bit stronger than average with the strength of zonal wind at 10 HPA at the moment. Tucking down nearer to normal there, and then generally hovering a little bit above average with the zonal wind as we go into the end of November and the early part of December. So we might be seeing signs here, but the polar vortex is beginning to start ramping up after a slow start to this season. We might be seeing those signs. These are how the this is the temperature only forecast for 10 HPA over the Arctic and over the North Pole. That, of course, is the North Pole just there. So here we go. So this is week 1, 7th to 14th of November. So colder than average temperature 10 HPA in the stratosphere lie on the western side of the Arctic. Notice warming is warmer than average temperatures like over Europe though, but that's not the start of a warming of the stratosphere that's only of any significance really. As we go into week 2, those blue colours, that's the polar vortex, start to expand out. a little bit. And as we run through November into December, just see how those blue curves generally expanding out. So it does look as though, as we get later on into November into December, we may well start to see generally colder than average temperatures over the Arctic and over the North Pole, which would imply that the polar vortex could be on its way to powering up. Arctic oscillation observed and forecast is looking like this. So the AO is currently in a positive phase just there and has generally been positive through most of October. GFS ensembles are forecasting that the Arctic oscillation will stay positive through to the middle of November at the very least. Remember, the AO just an index that's reflecting the atmospheric state. So when we're positive with the AO, we've got low pressure, polar vortex essentially, over the Arctic and over North Pole. When we've got the negative AO, then we'll have blocking over the Arctic and over the North Pole. And blocking is the route to get cold air out of the Arctic and into the mid-latitude. So this implies that cold air will stay bottled up, really, over the North Pole. NAO observed and forecast looks like that. We've also gone positive with the NAO after being rather negative through most of September and October with the NAO. We are now in a positive phase with the North Atlantic Oscillation and GFS ensembles forecasting the NAO to stay positive through to the middle of November as well. So with both the AO and the NAO in positive territory, this is a signal for generally mild Atlantic-driven westerly winds for much of northern and western Europe as well. Okay, we'll have a little pause again there, I think, and when we return, we're going to look at sea surface temperature anomaly data. I'll see you in a moment. Okay, we're back and ready to resume the epic 10th Winter 2022-2023 update from GavsWeatherVids. If you've enjoyed the video so far, please do like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. Make sure to drop a comment after you watch the video. Let us know about this and all of our videos. If you give us a sub, you're going to be able to see future weather content, including future winter updates. And when we get to the 4th of December, the winter forecast from GavsWeatherVids. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. Thank you so much to Richard for the amazing winter updates gift and for that earlier gift that absolutely set me off. Thanks, Rich, for setting me off after getting the sneaky beaky. Right, while I'm going around that, having you go stack yourself off again. Gonna have a look at sea surface temperature anomalies next. So this is how the oceans were looking when we did last week's ninth update. So we've got our 4 interest areas, ENSO region just there, North Pacific over here, including the Northeastern Pacific, Indian Ocean over there, and the North Atlantic over there. Right, that's how things were set up last week. This is the latest. So in terms of the ENSO region, there's possibly been a slight cooling, I think, through this eastern quadrant of the equatorial Pacific. So we've got a solid La Nina signal across all ENSO regions, of course, obviously, with those blue curves. But I think over in the eastern portion of the equatorial Pacific, we have probably seen a little bit of a cooling compared to last week. That's how things were looking in that area last week. This is the latest. I think I've seen those temperatures getting a bit colder there. La Nina continues and maybe starting to strengthen a little bit, re-strengthen a little bit once again. Over in the Indian Ocean, so that's where we're looking now. Over in the Indian Ocean, that's the scenario last week. This is the latest. Not much change there, really. I think we're beginning to warm a little bit, though, through here. So we're reverting, I think, now from the negative IOD that we've had since the summer, very strongly negative IOD. We're reverting from that towards a more neutral IOD phase, which, of course, we explained last week. In the Northern Pacific, quite interesting what's going on up there. So we've got a particular focus around here. That's how things looked in the Northern Pacific last week. Latest shows that things are continuing to get colder in that northeastern quarter. We've been waiting for that, been waiting for things to cool down there in response to the La Nina. Remember, what La Nina is essentially doing, it's like the Earth's thermostat. So when you have an El Nino, you will turn the thermostat up and you will pump out warmth into the oceans. When you have a La Nina, you will turn the thermostat down and you will push the temperature down, push out cold. So this should be pushing out cold, colder temperatures through the Pacific, and eventually that should even have a bit of an impact on the Atlantic as well, but much less so than like the Pacific. And it should have an impact on the Indian Ocean as well, with negative IOD that had this year might be in response to this La Nina. So if you're waiting to see the Northern Pacific start cooling down in response to the La Nina, it looks like that's underway now, doesn't it? So we shall keep monitoring that. This is the... Oh, we haven't dealt with the Atlantic yet. Sorry about that. This is how the Atlantic looked. Yeah, I don't know myself. This is how the Atlantic looked last week. This is the latest. So not much change there. It's turned a little bit cooler through here. It's probably warmed a little bit up towards Greenland again. Looking pretty warm around the eastern seaboard. Quite warm down into the tropical Atlantic. Generally, the Atlantic still set up as it has been through most of the year into warm phase. Right, so this is the 7-day change. For the ENSO region, just here, there's that cooling that's taking place just there, I think. You see how things are generally warming, or have warmed over the past 7 days in the Indian Ocean, taking us from the negative IOD back towards neutral. Notice things getting ever cooler through here. 7-day change has seen quite significant cooling through there. Again, that is what we've been waiting to see in response to La Nina. And then in the Atlantic, generally it's cooled a little bit over the past 7 days in the Northern Atlantic, where it has warmed close to Greenland. And it looks like the Central and Tropical Atlantic still generally warming, actually, over the past 7 days. CFSB2 continues to forecast La Nina to stay at weak to moderate levels, so that's where we currently are, around there. And you can see that right way through to the end of the year, generally we're hovering around sort of weak to borderline moderate La Nina levels, and then picking back up to neutral as we get into next spring. Summer Oscillation Index is looking like this. The SOI measuring air pressure between Tahiti and Darwin as well. Of course, when you've got a negative SOI, the atmospheric setup will be reflective of El Nino. You've got a positive SOI atmospheric setup will be reflective of La Nina. You see we have had strong positivity of the SOI recently. 27th of October came out 21 plus 21. I should say 28th of October came out plus 33. 31st of October came out at plus 26, which is all very reflective of La Nina. So ocean and actually went through a couple. But the last couple of days have seen a bit of a change. So 2nd of November comes out plus 2. 3rd of November comes out plus 4, much lower positive number. And they actually go negative for the 4th and the 5th of November, minus 2, minus 8. So, that's probably just like a deviation, though. So you will get, like, deviations within an overall pattern. Of course, I think the answer is still solidly reflective of La Nina. I would expect that to carry on through to the beginning of next year at the very least. Connected to the sea surface temperature in the Atlantic is the 2022 Atlantic hurricane season. So this is how the scores on the doors are looking, Miss Ford, for this season. So far, I've had 15 tropical depressions, 13 tropical storms, 7 hurricanes, and 2 major category 3 or above hurricanes. They are the numbers. And this is how things look in terms of ACE. ACE Master Shrine has updated our ACE page. Thank you so much, Shrine, for doing that. Accumulated cyclone energy is just a way of measuring the energy that each of these storms are giving out, and then, putting it together into a season by season. Number ACE is classified as below normal, near normal, above average hyperactive. We go way back to 1800s with this, but we'll come down to the very latest year, which of course is 2022. So ACE now is standing at 91.10, 91.10 is the accumulated cyclone energy for this season so far, which places it near normal. That's after 13 tropical storms, 7 hurricanes, and 2 majors. By this point in the season, we would have expected to have had 14 tropical storms, 7 hurricanes. So we've caught up with hurricanes and 3 majors. So we're a little bit low on tropical storms. We're a little bit low on major hurricanes. We've caught up on hurricanes. The overall ACE number at this point in the season, you expect to be at 117.10. So we're near normal, but we're on the low side still for our accumulated cyclone energy. On to soar analogues for you next. So central, thank you so much to the H Master to that. So on to more analogues. The central temperature for October came out at 12.8. Very, very mild October, one of the warmest on record. That is 2.3 degrees above average. And so we are very simply going to be looking at winters following the top 10 warmest Octobers on record. Thank you so much for trying sorting these years out for us. So at number 10, we have got 2013. Winter 2013-2014 was an exceptionally mild and wet winter. Very stormy winter as well. To start us off at number 10. At number 9, we've got 2011. The ninth warmest October on record was 2011. Winter 2011-2012 was generally mild for us with low pressure to our north. Very cold winter for East and South East Europe with a deep trough through the Balkans and whatnot. We did get one very cold spell in early February of 2011. At number 8, we've got 1968. The winter of 1968-1969 was very cold, especially later on. It had blocking around Greenland, and we sent the jet stream southwards. We have a white Christmas in some parts of the country, including where I am, at the Towers, in 1968. Generally mild and wet for January 1969, and then very, very cold, right at the very end of the month of January, leading to a really severely cold February. At number 7, we've got 1959-1960. Despite having a bit of a blocking signal, this is actually quite a mild winter to start off the cold decade of the 1960s. At number 6, we've got 1995, to be 6th mildest or warmest October for the CT was 1995. The winter of 95-96 is another cold winter. Very Scandinavian high-dominated this one, with easterlies coming and going throughout most of the winter. That's a cold one. Oh, wow. Number 5 is 2022. So October 2022 was the 5th warmest October on record. What does winter 22-23 have in store? All will be revealed. At number 4, we've got 2006-2007. It showed up in the earlier package of analogues. It's back again. This one is a very mild and dry-ish winter. And then at number 3, we've got 2005. These final 3 get the CT for October into the 13s. So at number 3, we've got 2005, winter 2005-2006. It's back again. The failed cold winter that we saw earlier on. The analogue looks like it's epic. It looks like it'd be epic, severe, cold, freeze-up winter. It was not. It was actually a failed cold winter. There are some cold snaps, especially later on. At number 2, we've got 1969. So we have 1968 and 69, both very warm Octobers at the end of the 1960s. But this is the warmest of the two. It is the second warmest October on record. The winter of 69-70 is actually quite a cold winter. It's a late starter again. So December of 1969 and January 1970, not particularly cold. Then it gets colder through February and into March of 1970, and quite a bit of snow late on in that winter. And then at number 1, the warmest October for the CT is 2001. So the winter of 2001-2002 looks like that. The analog doesn't tell you everything about this at all, though. So has quite a chilly, quite a cold December with regular cold snaps. Bit of a cold Christmas to New Year as well. Then it has a dry and cold start to January before it gets milder. And then February of 2002 is very mild and wet. Right, putting all of that together, this is how all Decembers combined are looking, following the top 10 warmest Octobers for the CET. Low pressure tends to be a little bit to the south. Higher pressure up towards Scandinavia, maybe, and out in the Atlantic. There could be cold snap potential, couldn't there, with those Decembers. Interesting. And then all Januaries combined for the top 10 warmest Octobers look like that, with blocking signal strengthens to the north, where we do have this trough of low pressure to the south. So bit of a battleground type scenario with that, and could go either way really, but definitely a defined blocking signal within high latitudes. And then this is probably the best for a cold potential. This is all February's combined where the blocking seems to park itself over Greenland. And we have a trough of low pressure underneath. It'd be a little bit better for cold. You want to send that trough a little bit further southwards, but definite cold potential for those for February, you know, following top 10 warmest October. Not all of them, but definitely, you know, there is cold potential there. Probably because we've got 1969 in the mix, which was a very cold, say, February. Bear in mind, we've got 2002, 2007 there, my other Februaries as well. And then lastly, this is how all winters combined are looking, following the top 10 warmest Octobers. Not bad, actually. We have, for cold, we have high pressure blocking within the northern latitudes. Low pressure is across Western Europe. Jet stream is a little bit displaced southwards as well, and so there is some cold snap potential, definitely some cold potential, I think, following those top 10 warmest Octobers. Thank you so much for trying for sorting those years out. We're going to have one final pause, and when we come back, we're going to go through Eurasian snow cover data, so I'll see you in 2 seconds. Okay, we're back and we're ready to resume for the final time this epic 10th Winter 2022-2023 update from GavsWeatherVids. If you enjoyed it so far, then please can you smash that like button, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to tell your friends to subscribe as well. So show everybody to do that. You'll be able to see future weather content, including future winter updates if you do that. Right, okay, last thing I'm going to show you is Eurasian snow cover data. It's been epic so far. We're just going to show you Eurasian snow cover. So this is how things are looking in terms of Eurasian snow cover when we did last week's 9th update. The snow line was generally to there, and we have got it into Scandinavia as well, northern part of Scandinavia. That's how it looked last week. This is the latest. So we've had significant gains for snow cover across Russia, and we have now pushed the snow line more or less towards the west of Russia, actually. It's still there across northern parts of Scandinavia as well, but it really is over Russia, but we have seen very significant gains in snow cover over the past week. So major gains have taken place in snow cover. Let's see how that's compared to recent years, Ben. So this is how we compare the same time in 2021, and we are ahead of 2021 for snow cover. We are also ahead of 2020 for snow cover at this point. We are very close to 2019, I think, for Russian snow cover, but a little bit behind for Scandinavian snow cover, interestingly. 2018, we are ahead of 2018 for Russian snow cover, probably a little bit behind the Scandinavian snow cover. 2017, wondering about that one, we are very close to 2017 for Russian snow cover, probably a little bit behind, though, for Scandinavian snow cover. Now, 2016, we are way behind 2016 for both Russian and also Scandinavian snow cover. That's 2015, we are ahead of 2015 for both Russian and Scandinavian snow cover. That's 2014. We're a little bit ahead of 2014, I think, for Russian snow cover. Very similar for Scandinavian snow cover. That's 2013. We're ahead of 2013 as well for Russian snow cover, probably very similar to a little bit behind for Scandinavian snow cover at 2012. So with that, we're probably quite closely matched for Scandinavian snow cover, but behind for we're probably quite close to match for Russian snow cover, I should say, but behind for Scandinavian snow cover. That's 2011. We're ahead of 2011 for both Russian and also Scandinavian snow cover. We're ahead of 2010 for Russian and also Scandinavian snow cover, I think. That's 2009. So we're probably quite close, actually, to 2009. Maybe a little bit behind for snow cover with that one. We are well ahead of 2008. Look at that. Way ahead of 2008 for Russian snow cover and also Scandinavian snow cover. We're ahead of 2007 as well, significantly so. We've really caught up over the last week with a lot of these years. That's 2006, a little bit behind 2006, I think, for both Russian and Scandinavian snow cover. Way ahead of 2005 for Russian Scandinavian snow cover, ahead of 2004 as well. That's 2003, so probably a little bit behind 2003 for Russian snow cover. That's 2002. 2022. With that one, we're probably a little bit ahead for Russian snow cover, actually, of 2002, but behind the Scandinavian snow cover, that is 2001. And for that one, we're a little bit ahead for Russian snow cover, behind the Scandinavian snow cover, that is 2000. We're ahead of 2000 for Russian snow cover, probably a bit behind the Scandinavian snow cover, that's 1999. Ahead of 1999 for both Russian and also Scandinavian snow cover, and 1998 we are way ahead of 1998 for both Russian and Scandinavian snow cover. I think we'll go even further back than that. We're not going to compare because it would take too long. You go back to 1966, so just keep that in mind. That is where the snow line is. Keep that in your mind, and we're going to go to Rutger Snow Lab and have a look. You've got to turn on your head for this. So we're ahead of 1997. We're ahead of 1997 for Russian and Scandinavian snow cover. We are ahead of 1996 as well for Russian and also Scandinavian snow cover. We are behind though 1995, a little bit behind 1995 for Russian snow cover. Perhaps a little bit ahead both Scandinavian snow cover. For 1994, we're probably quite close actually to that one. Let me know in the comments which is you think we're closest to. It's all subjective and in my opinion. This is 1993. I think we're probably a little bit ahead of 1993 for Russian Scandinavian snow cover. That's 1992. I think we're a little bit ahead of that one. That is 1991. We're probably behind 1991 for Russian snow cover, but ahead for Scandinavian snow cover. We're ahead of 1990, significantly so, for both Russian and Scandinavian snow cover. That's 1989. So I think probably quite closely matched to that for Russian snow cover, a little bit higher Scandinavian snow cover. That's 1987. I forgot to do 1988, but I can say we're ahead of 1988 and 1988 as well. That's 1987, we're significantly ahead of that year. 1986, we are also ahead of 1986 for both Russian and Scandinavian. That is 1985, I think we're ahead of that year too. That's 1984, we're ahead of that year as well. 1983, well ahead of that year. 1982, we are way ahead of that year too. 1981, we are ahead of as well at this point. That's 1980. I think overall we're a little bit ahead for Russian snow cover of 1980, but behind Scandinavian snow cover. That is going to be 1979, which we are ahead of as well. And also we're a little bit ahead of 1988. Notice how the years that have a very quick advance through October tend to recede back in November. So that's what's going on there with like 1978, I think. So we're ahead of 1978 now for Russian snow cover after being behind through most of October. Perhaps a little bit behind though for Scandinavian snow cover. That's 1977, probably quite close to that one. That's 1976. Notice it begins to recede back a little bit in 76 too as we get into November. Overall, we're behind though 1976 still. We're ahead of 1975. We're ahead of 1974 for Russian snow cover, behind the Scandinavian snow cover. That's 1973, so we're behind 73 for both Russian and Scandinavian snow cover, as we are 72. 71, I think we're a little bit ahead of for Russian Scandinavian snow cover, a little bit ahead of 1970 as well. Probably a bit behind 1969 for Russian snow cover, probably quite close to Scandinavian snow cover. We're behind 1968, we're ahead of 1967, and for 1966, for last year, we're probably quite close overall, but maybe a little bit behind 66. Right, there you go. That is your 10th Winter 2022 220 update. Wow. I kept it within 50 minutes again. Epic. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, then please can you like, share, subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you think about this video. Thank you so much to Richard and Shryan for all of the help on this epic update. And we'll be back tomorrow with the live stream discussing this update, and don't forget next week we'll have the 11th winter update for you. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and for this video that's all for now, and thanks for watching.